For some clients, an emotional trigger can strike suddenly and seemingly out of nowhere. So when a client gets triggered, how can we help them reduce reactivity and regain a sense of safety and calm? Well, here Dr. Rick Hanson shares 3 practices that can soothe intense emotions, especially when anxiety gets triggered.
My supervisor had a saying that much as the FBI is supposed to follow the money in organized crime, as therapists, we should follow anxiety as a fundamental central theme. And arguably, in terms of the neural hardware that enables emotion, the first 2 emerge involve negative emotions having to do with fear and threat and aversion, disgust, fear, and rage. And then layered on top of that were more positive emotional capabilities. So fear is deeply, deeply primal. And I think it's helpful to be mindful of and accept and own and include that we're really a bunch of scared monkeys, moving down busy city streets with each other. So what to do about it? This is territory that I've been extremely interested in part because I'm anxious by temperament. And so I want to name 3 practices here. The first of these is what I call notice you're basically all right now. Tell the truth. Sometimes in the past you may not have been basically all right. In the future there might be moments you're not basically all right. But in most moments for most people, now, the heart is still beating. There's enough air to breathe. There's a basic okayness. The body's going on being. Around the edges there might be pain or irritation or something you're thinking about. But in the core of your being, you're basically all right. You have an opportunity to notice that. Interestingly, most of the information coming into the brain originates inside the body because the brain, first and foremost, needs to track the internal state of the body. That's why the first senses to evolve were internally directed, sensing, tasting, and smelling. Then we acquired more externally directed senses, hearing and seeing. So the body, most of the time, is telling the brain, especially a key part of the brain, the hypothalamus, that all is well. All is well. Digestion's occurring, the heart is beating, there's enough air, you're not in agonizing pain, no shark is chewing on your leg, you're basically all right. But because that's what we're being told continually, we habituate to it. We tune it out. We don't notice that we're basically okay right now. And so that's an incredible opportunity for people in general, and also especially for people grappling with issues of safety and anxiety, to be mindful of the felt sense many times a day, including in an extended way for a minute or 2 or 10, take it as your meditation object, the felt sense of basic all rightness, so that you can build up this ability to recognize in this moment, I'm basically all right, even as I remain vigilant and aware of threats and I mobilize appropriate coping, but without being invaded with anxiety and anger and helplessness in the core of my being. That's a wonderful embodied practice. And then another one is, what's the feeling of being strong? If you think about it, anxiety is a mismatch between threat and resources, both perception and what's actually true. So a lot of what we do with people is we try to bring down their exaggerated view of threat and help them cope with threats so that they diminish. Well, what about strengths? So as you build up the sense, the felt sense of being a determined person, or also especially a person who can endure, which I think is especially useful for women, frankly, that endurance is a strength. You are strong by just being here still. Internalizing that felt sense of, yeah, okay, threats are real, but my resources are greater. I'm a tough cookie. I've lived through this before. I can deal with it again. I'm going to be okay. So that's another trait to build up, the trait sense of felt strength and associated qualities like determination. And then last, to do practices of letting go of unnecessary anxiety. It's really interesting to observe, in this moment, do you need to feel this fearful? Do you need to feel this braced or guarded? Can you let go of unnecessary anxiety? If it's appropriate to remain anxious about something, fine. But unnecessary anxiety is something you can actually shed. And that's a really interesting mindfulness practice.
Giving clients effective resources to build feelings of connection and safety can often be a key first step in helping them manage an emotional trigger. Now I'd like to hear from you. What have you found to be helpful in working with a client's emotional triggers? Please share a comment right below.